Alright, so it is Thursday, 29th of February, Leap Day. We're out here in the shop. Not really going to do a whole lot of work on the Firebird tonight. I thought I would just give a kind of like a status update. 21 videos or whatever deep into the winter upgrades project on this thing, and thought I'd just kind of give in one video what all we have done and what's left to do. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. Here we go. Alright, so starting inside, we've got the new shifter, B&M gated shifter installed down there, and that's all hooked up, ready to go for when we get the transmission back in. We've got new plug ends on the end of our launch control wires. We got this new shift light by Autometer installed as far as getting it mounted where we want it to be. All the wiring has to be run, but that's going to happen once we get the motor back in it, so that everything is powering around where it should. Got the new button installed on there with the new pigtail for that. Everything's heat shrunk in here. That's really all that's going on the inside. Oh, we switched this button here from the underglow button to the line lock button. Actually, I'm gonna grab these out. Obviously, those are the seats. The same seats have been in it, and these gauges have been in it as well. We have a trans temp gauge, an AFR gauge, air fuel ratio, and then this is a boost gauge, which will come into play much, much later, but it reads vacuum and it's fun. So we've got an oil catch can right here. Obviously, it's not hooked to anything yet. I might mount it over here. I don't know. It's a lot of hose, or I might try and find a spot for it somewhere over there by the distributor. Problem being, my ignition coil I have mounted right there. Right in here somewhere is where my ignition coil mounts. So I'm not sure if we'll have room for the catch can there or not, but I'm going to have a catch can on there. We got this new master cylinder on here, and then a Moroso line lock solenoid right down here. All the air bubbles are bled out of this brake system, and we've tested the line lock and it works. We've got new BMR solid motor mounts installed. That was quite a project. We had to actually take out all of the suspension in the front here. To get that in, we had to disconnect the sway bar, disconnect the shock. Those are QA1 two-way adjustable front shocks. Those aren't new this winter, but they're on there. And then we had to lower the control arm down, take the spring out, take the lower control arm all the way out, just to get those motor mounts in there. So it's kind of a project, but they're in there and they look nice. I hope they work as nice as they look, right? So that's really it for up in the engine bay as far as new stuff. We got our MSD box right here. Fuel pressure regulator there. That's really it for up here. Nothing too crazy. Optimal red top battery. Let me grab that flashlight real quick. So up underneath, we've got these UMI Performance weld-in subframe connectors. Both sides. You can see that one over there. We got those in. In the back, obviously we have the 9-inch rear end, which technically wasn't a this winter project, that was a this fall project, but sure we'll contain it in this winter project. So we got rear disc brakes in here now. For a 9-inch, we've changed the ring gear. It was a 350 gear, and now it's a 411 gear. And we freshened up all the bearings in that. I've got videos on all this stuff, by the way. And then we put in this new BMR Extreme Anti-Roll Bar. So it's got 2 weight pressure, I guess you'd call it, adjustments for the intensity of how much you want it to function as the anti-roll, as well as the adjustable links, which also do the same thing. This is more of a ride height adjustment here. For different ride heights, you'd install it in different spots. That's underneath here. That's there. These are lower control arm relocation brackets. Again, not new for this winter, but they are on the back here and they look rather nice. So that's what we got going on in the back here. And then let me walk around to the other side because I got all that hay in the way. Here we go. As you may have seen in a couple of the shorts I've put out, just today actually, I have a little surprise back here. Let's get the keys back out. Those aren't them. Hold on. There we go. Now when it's warm, this thing will go up all the way by itself just with hitting the key. So right in here, this is where their spare tire goes usually. And we have installed a nitrous bottle. Nitrous Express. I bought their mainline kit, and I'm going to run a standalone fuel system with it also. Right back here, I'm going to put the fuel cell here and run all the lines to the front. But this is where I'm hiding my nitrous bottle, just for funsies. I'm hiding it. It doesn't need to be hidden, but it's not like I'm not going to tell people that it's there, and it's not like it's not on YouTube. So, but it's hidden in here, so I thought that was a nice little spot. It fits really, really well there. And then I ran the nitrous line up underneath this plastic stuff here. And then out right here. And honestly, eventually I think I'm going to try and get it underneath this stuff all the way, but I've got it popping underneath here and running up through here. It runs up this way and then out, probably can't tell, but out through the firewall right up in there. And then it hides right down here. Now I'm not gonna install the nitrous plate, which is sitting over here on top of my intake. I'm not actually gonna install this stuff until I get the standalone fuel system done. I'm also gonna be running this 2-inch spacer, NA, when I put the car back together. But this is the nitrous plate. So it's all assembled, but I'm not going to be installing that until further down the road. I am going to run this car NA probably for most of this race season, but I wanted to get my nitrous line up into here so that I can install the nitrous kit a lot easier once the engine is in here. Because once the engine's sitting down in here with my headers, there's not a lot of room to get at anything back there. As far as running that line through here. So that's all like that, but the nitrous kit is not actually going on the car. Like the plate's not getting hooked up and the standalone fuel system's not getting hooked up for quite a while. But that is something we're going to be doing on this build eventually. Probably by the end of this summer, perhaps maybe not. It might be next year. We're not sure exactly, but it is in the works. So that's a surprise for y'all, I guess. Really excited about all that, but also really excited because we are going to make the motor, which came out of this thing. It was a 355, so it was a 350 block, board 30 over. We're going to make it a 383 this year. It's at the block is at the machine shop getting line board for new 4-bolt main caps. And while it's there, it's also getting clearance for the stroker crankshaft. And then we have the parts, the crankshaft, the new rods, and the new pistons, all at the machine shop getting balanced as well. So it is going to be a 383 stroker. when it comes back and gets all put back together. So that's going to make significantly more power than just the 355 with all of the other upgrades that we're doing this year. So that's kind of where we stand with the car right now. As far as what else we have to do to it, obviously we have to rebuild the motor when the motor comes back from the machine shop. I have everything I need for that. I've got gaskets, big heap of gaskets right here. I've got all sorts of fasteners. I've got camshaft, valve springs. I've got all the bearings I need right in here. I've got an oil pump. I've got oil pump pickup sitting in the freezer so that I can put it in here a little easier. I've got these BBK, they're underdrive pulleys because I was frying alternators is the main reason I was putting those on. But those are going to go on. Those are going to look real nice. My ignition system is obviously sitting up there, but I've got new spark plugs if I need them. All sorts of stuff to put the engine back together. So all that is ready, waiting for the motor to come back. One of the biggest things I currently have in the shop that I can do is the transmission sitting over here. So I've got the Monster in a Box kit sitting right here. This is from Monster Transmissions. This is their their Monster in a Box kit for a 700 R4. I also bought a Transgo Performance reprogramming kit because I have one of those kits in this transmission, and before this transmission developed the problem where it pushes the torque converter out the front and disengages it from the pump. This thing ran really, really nice. You can also turn your transmission into full manual by, I don't know exactly how it is, I'll talk everybody through that process, but it has something to do with the governor and some springs that you change out or whatever in that. So we're probably going to do that. So that's all here. Transmissions there. I do have a really nice torque converter also from Monster Transmissions sitting on the floor over here. That's it right there. Don't mind my mess, please. I got a lot of stuff going on in this garage. So that's my torque converter. It's a really, really nice converter. I have to, in the back here with the anti-roll bar, the U-bolts they sent, they're just not long enough. So I forgot my flashlight again, but they're not long enough that I can just barely get the nut on there. So there's no washer in between the nut and the plate that holds the bracket for the sway bar, and you can just barely thread the nut on far enough. So I've got some custom length U-bolts that I have to swap out in the back there to make those work better. And then there's a handful of other things. I gotta wire up that shift light. I gotta wire up a button or a switch, whatever, for my reverse because obviously the shifter is aftermarket. It doesn't have a park neutral switch or a reverse switch attached to it. So you putting in reverse, your reverse lights don't come on. So I gotta wire up a switch for that, which I'm gonna have somewhere around this area. It'll be very nice. But yeah, so I've got some wiring stuff to do, got those U-bolts to change, and then I have the transmission to rebuild. And that's pretty much it as far as work on this thing goes. A lot of people liked my 400 small block that I got sitting here in the videos I've been doing with it. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I think I'm going to want to do with this. This motor is either going to be a spare motor for the Firebird or I'm going to sell it. So obviously I want it to be done well, especially if I'm going to sell it. If it's just going to be my spare motor, I don't care nearly as much about the quality of it as far as being really particular about the quality. Like, I'm not going to send it to the machine shop to get the cylinders rebored to be just right. I'm just going to do that myself, and you know, I'm going to do everything that I can myself to just do this. I'm not, like, if I put a new crankshaft in it, I'm not going to have it balanced because I really don't need it to be. But if I'm going to sell it to somebody else, I'm going to. So not really sure on this. It's more of a what I have the money for over what I want to do with it. The old crankshaft is sitting underneath this bag, and I'm either going to sell that or send it to the machine shop and get it turned to put back in this, as well as the old crankshaft out of the 355. Because the 355 is going to be a 383 now, I don't need that crankshaft anymore. And it would go in here and then make this a 377 cubic inch small block. So just a big bore 350. And those have been known to RPM rather well. So I think, honestly, if I was going to keep it for myself, I would just take that crankshaft and get some bearing spacers from Comp Cams. I know they make them. Or you can just get some oversized 400 main bearings and throw it in here. I've got some 5.7 rods over here, and I can get some pistons. There's more piston options if you take it to 4155 than 4145. It's at 4145 now, but I'm going to see about that. I'm not sure. I don't have a whole lot of stuff for this. I have that set of heads off of the 355, which would work really good on this thing. They got a 70cc combustion chamber, and if I got just a flat top piston, that'd probably get us somewhere around 10 to 1, 9.5 to 1, something like that. Pretty low compression, but decent enough for a spare motor or a street motor. But those would probably those would probably be the heads that I would put on this thing. And then I don't know, I might go with a hydraulic roller cam if I have the money for it, but they're kind of spendy. Or I don't know exactly what I do for camshafts. So mostly this is just kind of sitting around waiting for me to finish this project and have money to work on this project. Pardon me. But yeah, that's kind of where we stand with this thing. It's just kind of waiting to see what happens. But I can continue to clean up some more. I got this new, again, I have a mess everywhere. Those are door latch pins for the Firebird. Eventually I'm going to do those on the driver's side. But I got this new little flex hone for doing lifter bores. So I thought I'd try it out on the 400, see if I can't get those lifter bores cleaned up nice. So there's more stuff to do with that. I was going to say something, but I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, I got my drive shaft back from the shop that I sent it to get balanced, and it ended up that the shaft on the old drive shaft, the actual tube, was so far out of round that it would have they really weren't able to correct it via balancing. And so we decided that we were just going to go with a new drive shaft. So it's a 3-inch tube, and it's got 1350 U-joints on all ends. So my old drive shaft had a conversion from the standard size stock drive shaft for one of these to a 1350 U-joint for the bolt-on yoke, but this is all 1350 Spicer stuff all the way through, and it should be good for as much power as this thing is going to make probably ever. So, and it's all balanced and ready to go there. So that's awesome and really good and ready to go. I don't know. I think that's everything I got going on right now. That's a lot. I just talked for 17 minutes, and I don't know. I've got this 305 motor that runs really good, but smoke's bad, burning oil past the rings. It's got all new gaskets in it, all new bearings. Just couldn't get rings that fit the bores for the standard piston. You had to get an aftermarket piston to get rings that would fit the bores, and we just didn't have time when we took this out of my buddy's Camaro and rebuilt it. But it runs great. But it burns oil. So if you want a 305 that runs really good but burns oil, and you want to do pistons or something to it, $50 you can have it. There's a 355 motor. It's a roller cam block underneath here. That's also for sale. It's not done yet. I gotta get a few more bits and pieces around to put that together, but that one is going to be for sale, not going to be a spare. I'm definitely not keeping that. It's just going to go. So yeah, that's kind of all the projects I got going on automotively over here. Yeah, that's my status update on everything, all my projects here. This transmission, eventually I'm going to figure out something to do with that, but it's just going to sit around and be art for now. Yeah, those are all my big surprises and plans and whatever. So now we're just kind of waiting for the machine shop to be done with the block. It's going to be probably another 6 weeks or so before they're done with that. I hope it gets done sooner, but that is what it is. So I'm gonna keep plugging away on the stuff I have to do here, which obviously is getting down to a shorter and shorter list. Yeah, those U-bolts in the back, and then some wiring, and then working on the transmission. So I'm holding out for a little bit warmer weather here in West Michigan before I start working on the transmission, because working on it, you're always holding on to something cold in your hand, and it gets real chilly really fast. But anyhow, that's what we got going on, and thanks for watching. We just hit 200 subscribers today, which to me is a really big deal, because I never really thought anyone would ever want to watch this stuff. So it's crazy that 200 people have actually subscribed to the channel, and we're getting a lot of views on stuff, and that's really great. So thanks a lot for that. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe and like and comment, and thanks for everything, and good night, folks.